In case you missed it, here's a Sports Animal Rewind.
Why don't we bring in the head coach at the University of Louisiana of the Ragin' Cajuns, Mark Hudspeth, joins us here on the new Sentinel Sports page. Hey, Coach, Vince Ferrara and Evan Woodbery. How you doing this morning, Coach?
Hey, we're doing great, Vince. Thanks for having us on today.
Well, we appreciate you. You've had a lot of success the last few years there in Lafayette. Talk about how you feel about this year's squad as being voted by the media and still looked at as one of the favorites in the conference.
Well, it's good to see at least that we're gaining a little more respect. You know, I don't put a lot of stock into preseason polls, but at least, like I said, whenever your program starts to get more respect, obviously that's a great sign. But we're more worried about a little more what's going to happen at the end, and for us to do that, you know, we're going to have to play very well against a very difficult schedule, 2 tough openers, and then obviously a tough conference schedule. But more importantly, only 5 home games, 7 on the road. So we're going to have a pretty demanding schedule this year.
Well, quick hit on that Arkansas game. Your friends from down the road at Monroe, they were able to get a big win. I'm sure your guys would like to equal that in getting a win in Fayetteville. Talk about Brett Bielema and Arkansas, your opening opponent.
Well, you know, they're going to be a very physical football team. If you go back and look at the way they played it, is Wisconsin. They're going to line up and run right at you. So we're going to have to be prepared to stop the run, control the pass, because that's what they're going to be so good at. And you know they've got good players. They didn't just drop off from what they had been doing. You know, obviously they've had just a lot of turmoil. The wheels sort of came off there. But I know Brett's going to get that thing going back again, and I'm sure he's got everybody on the Kool-Aid up there. So we're going to have to go in there and play awfully well against a very good team.
Coach, I know it's no secret that there are a lot of good players that come out of the state of Louisiana, but obviously the success that LSU's had over the last decade, but then also that you look at the top of the Sun Belt and you see, Lafayette and Monroe. So it seems like top to bottom, you've got a lot of good football players to pick from in the state of Louisiana. And is that where you focus your recruiting efforts, or how do you go outside the state boundaries?
Well, you know, we do recruit the state very thoroughly, and so this is where we start. But last year we signed kids from 6 different states. We signed kids from South Carolina, from Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Texas, and even one from Arkansas. So we recruit pretty much the whole Southeast, high school wise, and then obviously nationally within the junior colleges.
Don't forget the punter from Australia.
I didn't even mention that one. That's right. So I'm hoping to see if my athletic director let me take an official visit, a couple of trips to Australia here in the future. So we picked up a dandy, though. He's a really good player.
Well, if Les Miles isn't going to do it at LSU, you'll be glad to take those punters from Australia.
No question.
Well, visiting with Mark Hudspeth, the head coach at Louisiana, at University of Louisiana for the Ragin' Cajuns. And Coach, you have a very good defensive end in Christian Ringo, getting a lot of the preseason accolades. Talk about him and some of those other key players on your team, especially on defense.
Well, I think our defensive line is going to be the strength of our team. We've got depth there, some really good players. So that's the thing that I'm excited about, is we do have depth, so we can roll some players in there, and we're going to have to be very good up front. You know, when you're playing teams like Arkansas, that's going to try to line up and run it right at you, and it's coming. So that's the strength of our team. Defensively, we did lose a lot of starters, but we've got some young talent, and I think as they gain experience and gain confidence, I think we'll only improve, and so hopefully we can improve even a little bit more during fall camp. So that's one of our biggest question marks, but I really feel like, though, we've got a talented team, just young and inexperienced on the defense side of the ball.
Coach, talk about the rest of the league. Obviously, there's some programs like yours and Monroe and a few others that have been in the league, but there's also some turnover in the Sun Belt this year as well. Talk about the rest of the league and how you see it from your vantage point.
Well, I want to tell you, I think the Sun Belt really came out of all the realignment just smelling like roses because of how it all shook down. The 4 teams that remained, the 4 teams that went to bowl games last year from the Sun Belt, all 4 stayed in the Sun Belt. And really the 4 teams that probably had the least of the 4 of the seasons, didn't play very well last year, all moved on. And so we still got the 4 bowl teams, and then we picked up I think some other good teams, Idaho and New Mexico State programs are getting better. But then on the other end, in 2 years, we're adding Georgia Southern and App State, the top two FCS programs in the country. And so this conference, football-wise, to me, is very, very strong, talented. As you know, in the South, there's a lot of great players. And you talk about some of the SEC schools, how much money they got and how much they're spending. Well, that really don't matter because they can only sign 25. And so there's a lot of good players to go around.
Coach, you've had great success already there in your time in Lafayette. And if you put on another good year, you're going to continue to get a lot of interest from other opportunities. How do you handle that with the kids and then with Lafayette, knowing that, hey, if we continue to have success, there's going to be a lot of schools, a lot of people are going to come calling. How do you handle that process?
We don't even go there. It's to me, it's something we don't talk about. There was a lot of speculation this last year, and even after the first year, had some opportunities that I turned down to stay here. To me, Lafayette, and anybody that's been here will tell you, it's probably one of the best kept secrets in the country, and it's probably the main reasons I took this job. We're right in the middle of a recruiting hotbed on I-10 from Florida all the way through Louisiana to Texas. And then Lafayette is the community, the city, is doing extremely well financially. The oil business is really doing well. And this city, along with Houston, really controls all the oil in the Gulf of Mexico. So there's a lot of ways that we can raise money for our program here because it's a pretty wealthy city. And with that being said, as you probably saw, we're fixing to embark on $115 million of new facilities, which are going to start here in 8 weeks. One of those is going to be a brand new football complex with all the amenities, and then a stadium that's going to go to 52,000.
It's really impressive, and I don't think people realize how much teams in the Sun Belt, including yours, are upgrading facilities, stadiums. You guys are presenting kids with some great options to get a lot of the stuff that they might normally think they can only get in those big power conferences. No
question. And once you see our facility, what I want you to do, and all the listeners, on Monday, this coming Monday, the renderings, and it's really a virtual tour video of the new facility will be released on the internet. It's really going to probably be all over the country. You'll see it on different venues, but you'll be able to see it at RagingCajuns.com. And just click it on and watch it. It's a 2-minute video that's going to show you exactly what this facility is going to look like. And I think it's going to rival most facilities in the country, and it's going to give us, I think, a huge advantage as far as a mid-major.
How do you like Twitter? Are you pretty active with it?
I am. I follow Twitter pretty steadily. I'm on Twitter daily for a lot of reasons, recruiting, obviously, and then obviously to keep up with our own players, and then also to communicate with our fans and alumni and students and to keep them abreast of, Raging Cajun football.
Having lived in Louisiana, I know there's a lot of pride for football and the university there as well. You can get more if you missed the website. You can follow the Raging Cajuns. It's at UL Raging Cajuns. Check that video out on Monday. And Mark Hudspeth is on Twitter at UL Coach Hud.